Hello and a very warm welcome to all of you. I'm Meha Bhardwaj Alter. This is Game On. This is where you get the latest from the world of sports. The Gavaskar trophy may have ended, but there is still so much to discuss when it comes to the future of Indian cricket. And we begin with that. As the dust settles on India's torrid time in Australia, where they surrendered the Gavaskar trophy to the home team for the first time since 2017, speculation is rife as to who the best man to lead Team India in tests is. While India are not scheduled to play test cricket for 6 months, the clamour for change after India won just one of the 5 matches in Australia has reached a new level. The man who captained India since the start of 2022, Rohit Sharma, he was so poor on the tour that after averaging 6 runs per innings, he dropped himself for the final test in Sydney. While it cannot entirely be ruled out that Rohit, who will turn 38 in April, will not travel to England with the test team in June, chances are that the BCCI selectors will opt for a new captain for that tour of 5 matches. The leading candidate, based on his outstanding form and age, is Jasprit Bumrah. The 31-year-old was named Player of the Series in Australia after taking 32 wickets at an excellent average of just 13 runs per wicket. And truly, the Indian team looked a different side when stand-in captain Bumrah was unable to take the field on day 3 in Sydney. Bumrah captained India to victory by 295 runs in the first test of the BGT in Perth, where he was player of the match for taking 8 wickets. And if the team was able to compete in the next 4 matches, it was largely due to Bumrah's brilliance with the ball. He has so far led India 3 times, each time when Rohit was absent, and has lost 2 of those matches. But more than the results, it is Bumrah's undeniable genius with the ball and the fact that he remains a first-choice player that has led many to believe that he is the best man to lead India in England and beyond. Now, Virat Kohli. His name has also been used in hushed tones given his stature in the team and the fact that he led India for nearly 7 years. Kohli's record as Test captain is 40 wins from 68 matches, which includes India's first series win in Australia, and his batting when leading the team was also very impressive. In fact, 20 of Kohli's 30 Test centuries came when he was captain, at an average of almost 55. However, Kohli, the batsman, has struggled for consistency since the start of 2020. In that time, he averages 30 in tests with just 3 centuries. And more worrying is his apparent inability to stop playing shots outside the off stump. If reports are to be believed, Kohli has expressed interest in leading Team India on a temporary basis in England until a permanent captain can be identified. But his current form does not augur well ahead of those 5 tests in seam-friendly conditions. Now, another name is Rishabh Pant. He is in his 7th year of Test cricket. While he does not have red ball leadership experience, Pant remains India's #1 wicketkeeper batter and has success in overseas conditions. At 27, Pant has age on his side, and his time leading Delhi Capitals in the IPL may have been noted closely by the BCCI selectors. Now, while he had a very poor tour of Australia by his high standards there, Pant looks certain to be picked across the next 2-year WTC cycle and is a popular figure in the dressing room. While backing a youngster to lead India is rare in the corridors of Indian cricket, if one were to take a look at the under-25 crop of current Test players and then to the next decade, the name Yashasvi Jaiswal does come to mind. He's 22 years old. When he landed in Australia for his first tour of the country, Jaiswal finished the BGT as India's leading run-getter with 395 runs at an average of 43, with the highest score of 81 in 2 innings in the 80s at the MCG. He scored 100 at Perth. His maturity and ability to cope with Australia's new ball bowlers was admirable. And given that in an 18-month Test career, the 23-year-old has amassed almost 1,800 runs at an average of more than 52. It seems like Jaiswal is here to stay. However, with no leadership experience at the domestic level, it is unlikely that the BCCI selectors will go the South African way. And like Graham Smith was given the role ahead of a tour to England 22 years ago, even if that decision proved historical and made Smith his country's most successful Test captain ever, I don't see India taking that step. Now, failures in the recently concluded Border Gavaskar Trophy are going to haunt Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma for long. Critics are turning their guns at the veteran Indian batters. Former Indian captain and cricket pundit Sunil Gavaskar, he's been very vocal about these two players. In his commentary duty during the series, India lost it 3-1. He has said that Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma's Test future is in the hands of the selectors. Gavaskar also called for an honest deep dive into the team's downward spiral in the last 6 months. On the raging debate surrounding the future of these stars, Gavaskar said, and I quote, "How long they continue is really up to the selectors." Now that India has failed to qualify for the WTC final, it would be pertinent to reflect on the reasons why it happened. The debacle in Australia meant that for the first time since the WTC inception, India will not compete for the International Cricket Council mace for the best team in Test cricket in the world. That defeat also meant that the coveted BGT was surrendered to Australia for the first time in a decade. The primary reason for the debacle was the batting unit's failure to fire, with Rohit and Kohli proving to be the weakest links. Kohli scored 190 runs in 9 innings, including an unbeaten century in the Perth Test, which was won by India. In the other 8 innings, Kohli was dismissed for his inability to deal with the deliveries in the off-stump line, as the Australian pacers exploited that same mistake every time. Rohit, who missed the first Test for being with his family for the birth of his second child, he tallied a dismal 31 runs from 5 completed knocks. Under pressure, he stood down in the Sydney Test. We know how that ended. Now, Gavaskar didn't mince his words while pointing out the repeated failures of the team's batters. In fact, collectively, the Indian batting unit failed to cross the 200 mark in 6 out of their 9 times. And he said, and I quote, "It is clear that in the last 6 months, the batting has failed, and that was the main reason that we lost matches and that we should have won." So if changes are required for the new cycle of the WTC, which starts in mid-June in England, then hopefully the selectors will take into account who would still be there for the final in 2027 and choose accordingly. Advocating changes in the squad, the 75-year-old former Indian captain did not take names but said there are some good performers coming up in the domestic circuit and the onus is now on the selectors to give them a chance. He said unless they are given a chance, how will we know if those doing well in Ranji Trophy will do well at the international level? Here's where good selections come in. Gavaskar also complimented the selection committee for unearthing a talent like Nitish Kumar Reddy, who was one of India's 3 centurions in the just concluded tour, others being Yashasvi Jaiswal and Virat Kohli. On the bowling front, Gavaskar said that India has enough talent that needs to be given the requisite opportunities to ensure that the generational star like Jasprit Bumrah is not overburdened. He said India has got a lot of promising pacers who are waiting for an opportunity. Yes, Bumrah should not be overburdened, and if others step up, then we can have an attack that can win any matches in any conditions. The culture of putting stars at the pedestal, that has been an oft-stated problem in Indian cricket, but Gavaskar said it is not very difficult to stay grounded. Even with that, if one is capable of taking an honest look at their performances. Double Olympic medalist Neeraj Chopra, he will headline a star-studded global javelin competition, and that will be held in India, which in all likelihood, that is, it'll be scheduled for September. This is one of the events which the Athletics Federation of India has expressed an interest in hosting. The wish list also included the marquee 2029 World Championships. The outgoing AFI president Adil Sumariwala on the sidelines of the federation's AGM has confirmed this, and he said, and I quote, there will be a top javelin competition in India in which the top 10 javelin throwers in the world will compete. This will be an invitation tournament to be held later this year. Neeraj Chopra, of course, will be there. He's part of the team that is organizing the event along with JSW, a foreign firm, and the AFI are together creating this competition. This is being done as there is so much interest in javelin, with Neeraj Chopra having won the Tokyo Olympic gold. August 7th now is being observed as National Javelin Day. Sumariwala also confirmed that India has expressed interest to host the 2029 World Championships as well as the 2027 World Relays. The AFI has already submitted its expression of interest to host the 2028 World Junior Championship when the international body chief Sebastian Coe visited the country in November last year. Sumariwala, whose 12-year tenure as the AFI president will be over today, he will be superseded by 2002 Asian Games shot put gold medalist Bahadur Singh Sagu, who was elected unopposed as the new AFI chief. Okay, Team USA celebrated winning the third edition of the United Cup at a photo shoot in front of Sydney Harbour Bridge on Monday. They defeated Team Poland 2-0 at Ken Rosewall Arena to record their second win in 3 years. The mixed team tournament began with players from 18 countries vying for both national bragging rights and a share of $10 million in prize money. World number 4, Taylor Fritz, he completed a tough 3-set win, downing Hubert Hurkacz 6-4, 5-7, 7-6 to give the USA the trophy for the second successive time. The 10th match featured a combined 30 aces, including one service break, and each player winning 96 points. It's the second time Fritz has lifted the trophy, and he said it made up for the disappointment of losing in 2024. Coco Gauff, who is the third-ranked women's singles player in the world, has got the Americans off to a rousing start. They won that game 6-4, 6-4, defeating world number 2 Iga Swiatek, fueled by 4 aces and 5 service breaks. Gauff told reporters she was surprised and delighted to be named the most valuable player and will have the trophy on display at home. She also made her teammates laugh by revealing she keeps her US Open trophy in a safe. Denis Kudla joined in the celebrations. Kudla didn't play in the final but helped his team get there by winning his semi-final doubles match with partner Desiree Kroshik against Czechlia.
It's awesome to win it. Again, obviously the first year winning it, and we were kind of disappointed last year. So yeah, it's just great to have a really good year this year. Great team, kind of bring the energy back from the first year and win it again.
Yeah, it means a lot. I think for me, when they have like events like this, I love to hear when like US wins it more times than anyone. So hopefully we're on the right path with that.
And you also got MVP. How proud are you to get that title as well?
I didn't know it was a thing, so I wasn't expecting anything like that. But probably the only time you can get MVP in tennis, so that's pretty cool. So I think it's something that one of the trophies I might actually leave outside the box.
The US Open one too.
I love it.
The US Open was in a safe.
I think it was just super special. Again, I've said it numerous times, just representing our country, being here the first year, the inaugural year, and having such a great time, and then not being able to bring it back. Last year definitely created a fire in the team, and having Fritz, Coco, such a special team, and bringing it home, I think it was just an overall impressive week for both of them.
All right, a lot is happening in Australia, from the Gavaskar Trophy to the United Cup, and now the first Grand Slam of the year, the Australian Open, will get underway on next Sunday. Here in the run-up to the first Grand Slam of the year, we take a look at the top singles players to watch out for at Melbourne Park. Yannick Sinner returns to the scene of his first Grand Slam title. He will look to set the foundations at the Australian Open. for another dominant season. The world number one came out on top at Melbourne Park and the US Open to split the majors with Carlos Alcaraz in 2024. Sinner also won the ATP Finals trophy before masterminding Italy's successful Davis Cup defense in a year that saw him win more titles than his 6 defeats. Undoubtedly the best player in the world in 2024, the Italian won 2 Grand Slam titles, 3 Masters Thousands title, and then the ATP Finals, the Davis Cup in a single calendar year, becoming the only player to achieve this milestone. Yes, so a big year for him. However, his image was tarnished by an unfortunate doping scandal. He tested positive twice for colestibol, a banned substance during Indian Wells last season. Spaniard Carlos Alcaraz, he will be hoping to improve his record in Australia with his best result at the tournament quarterfinal exit last year. He will be ranked 3rd after Yannick Sinner and Alexander Zverev. Alcaraz goes into the 120th edition of the Australian Open without much match practice. While majority of other top players participated in the United Cup, Alcaraz has opted out of the mixed team tournament, which also serves as a preparatory event for the Australian Open. He took to the practice courts, as you can see, at the Australian Open yesterday for the first time this year in a bid to win the one Grand Slam title that has eluded him in his young career. The 21-year-old world number 3 already owns titles at Roland Garros, which was in 2024, Wimbledon, that he won in 2023 and 2024, and the US Open in 2022. And he is seeking to become the youngest player in history to achieve the career Grand Slam. Then we move on to 10-time Australian Open champion Novak Djokovic. He returns to the season opening Grand Slam with a new coach in tow after linking up with the recently retired Andy Murray. He was not allowed to participate in the first Grand Slam of the year in 2022 over his COVID vaccine status. He had reached for the Australian Open without getting that COVID vaccine shot. Djokovic revealed that even today, the moment he steps into the Melbourne airport, he cannot brush off that discomfort that he carries from being deported, the trauma really of being deported from Australia 3 years earlier. In 2023, Novak Djokovic made a successful comeback to the Australian Open, to Melbourne Park, after going through the pains of deportation in 2022, where he won his 10th title at the tournament. With 10, Djokovic holds the record of maximum number of Australian Open titles. So, is this going to be his last swan song? Is this going to be the last time we'll see of Novak Djokovic at the Australian Open? He's already won it 10 times. Can he do another one for his team? And then, could this finally be Alexander Zverev's time? The German has risen to 2nd in the world, but is yet to reach the summit at a Grand Slam after losing in the final of the French Open in 2024. It was quite the heartbreak for Alexander Zverev, the 2021 Olympic champion and twice ATP Finals winner. Zverev has reached 2 Grand Slam titles, 2 Grand Slam finals, but lost in 5 sets on each occasion. At the 2020 US Open against Austrian Dominic Thiem and at the 2024 French Open against Carlos Alcaraz. His next chance comes at the Australian Open, of course, that's starting on Sunday, and Zverev was a semi-finalist in Melbourne in 2020 and last year. And local Australian interest rests then on the shoulders of world number 8 Alex de Minaur. So from Zverev, we move on to another contender. And that is a local Aussie favourite, Alex de Minaur, while the usual fireworks will be expected from the returning Nick Kyrgios. Well, that's it then on this edition of Game On. Hope you enjoyed it. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.